really a nation that's stuck within a very paternalistic and racist piece of legislation called the Indian Act, which really restricts us in being able to partake in economy in the traditional sense of economic development, as the National Chief had noted today. So the relationship that we have here now, it recognizes that we're not a local government per se in that sense, but we are a local government. We have a fiduciary obligation by way of the Indian Act, but we are at a nation-to-nation level, and the constant struggle between recognizing those rights and actually operating on a day-to-day basis is really it's a daunting task at times. So we have a very multi-dimensional relationship with all levels of government. And the implementation, I think what I would like to say before I continue on here is that so far the work that we've done, and I again have to commend the City of Elliott Lake Council and the Mayor and his leadership. The work we've done so far has been pretty tough. We've chosen to put some of those tough issues on the table right away, so it makes some of those less more complex things a lot easier. And then we also have low-hanging fruit that we're actually working on moving forward. So there's a balance there in challenges and rewards. And I think the Mayor will agree that we are moving ahead, and we're working through some pretty challenging issues. The rationale for the Joint Relations Committee process. So Elliott Lake and Serpent River seeks some similar goals for its citizens. I think this is really the point of reference, I think, that needs to be clear. And the National Chief again spoke about that. Quality of life and prosperity. Serpent River First Nation is pretty clear on that. The mandate under which I was elected as Chief in this term is to do with quality of life. Everything that we do, every decision we make, every dollar we spend has to go back to this notion of increasing quality of life for our band members, and as well as prosperity. Becoming engaged and involved in both local and regional economy is really how that's going to take shape. The boom and bust of mining cycle created only short-term jobs and economic benefit. I guess what I'd like to do at this point in time is I would really like to cut to the chase and suggest that I think maybe one of the things that was left when the mining companies exited the region, first of all, uranium mining waste, that's a given. It's going to be there forever. But the other thing was that you had this infrastructure, you had all of this expectation that you're supposed to somehow, as a leadership, and I mean the City of Elliott Lake, were to keep the city going. There were some decisions that were made, certainly having a mass injection of the seniors population with fixed limited incomes, trying to put the back of that entire infrastructure on those poor seniors, I think was innovative in one sense, but in another sense it created a bit of a social problem. And I think with the fact that if you've only got people with fixed incomes and they're frugal spenders to begin with, you certainly have to look for other solutions. And with that, became this whole notion of cottage lot development and tourism. So the whole boom bust thing, it really created some difficulties and challenges, but it also created some opportunities. And that's what Serpent River would like to suggest why we're there, and we would like to participate from that point of view. Jurisdictional ambiguity on critical issues, and I'm not going to get too heavily into that discussion, but from my formal schooling in public administration and governance, I know that it's not as simple as where does politics start and stop and where does administration continue. It's not that simple. There's confusion oftentimes, and more so with regard to First Nation relations and our governance structures and how we relate to and collaborate with local governments and other stakeholders. So there's that issue, and I'm sure that many of you that are in close proximity to First Nations in your territories will recognize that yes, there's some issues that are quite complex and confusing, and oftentimes the provincial government and the federal government or whatever government you're dealing with, it's usually local governments that end up being monkey in the middle, right? And that's really what we wanted to try to eliminate with some of this process. Bringing other governments and stakeholders into the process to maximize collective success of goals. And I think that that's really the one of the golden points of this process, is that when you succeed and we don't succeed, or when we succeed and you don't succeed, there's usually some apathy, there's usually some apprehension to continue moving forward. But if we're both succeeding, you know, I think it really gives us the steam we need to move on to the next issues. Avoiding conflict as First Nations become more agile in the assertion of rights and responsibilities. And I'd like to just take a second on that one, because it really is about rights, but it really is about responsibilities. And the concept that I'd like to leave with you on that particular point is the fact that what the Indian Act did to our people was it oppressed us, it put us in these little postage stamps, and the Indian Act had so much paternalistic control on our people, and still does, that we're not able to get out and effectively determine our own decisions and how things are done within our territories. And that certainly has created some internal conflict, and the way we begin to deal with that is we start becoming more responsible. One of our elders had told me one time when I started as a young leader, he said, you have to learn your responsibility before you get your right. You have to know what the ability to respond, essentially, is what he was talking about. And the Indian Act and all of that stuff, Indian policy, does nothing more than take away our ability to respond, so responsibility. So just a little bit of word stuff there, but basically rights and responsibilities is something that we need to look at these tables. Building on and building up the city's success and achievement to serve its citizens in its region. And I think that one thing that I would like to clearly bring to this forum is that Serpent River First Nation is adamantly committed to the work that we're doing with the city of Elliott Lake and the success that Elliott Lake has developed in recent years. So the Joint Relations Committee priorities, I'll just go through these really quickly, and these are really the central piece to the work we do and the discussions that take place at the table. Economic development, employment, partnerships, and procurement. Now it's pretty clear that the city of Elliott Lake, they have their challenges now. And I think all of Ontario is dealing with that, this whole issue of labor pool deficits and this brain drain that happens, a mass exodus of our young people to Southern Ontario. We definitely want to be able to contribute to that. The National Chief has spoke this morning about the exploding population in First Nations. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's very true, because we're having to deal with housing backlog, and the more that we're becoming more effective and more structured in our communities and creating quality of life, more people are wanting to come back to our communities. So we definitely want to be able to contribute high quality people that can actually fulfill those employment opportunities and contribute to the economy.